Looked at when Jesus was calling his first disciples. The first disciple was Andrew, and I think I asked you the question in that sermon, have you ever read a book that Andrew wrote? No. Have you ever read a sermon that Andrew preached? No. So what did Andrew do? Andrew went and found his brother Peter. Now, have you read any books that Peter wrote? Have you read a sermon that Peter preached? And see, I suggest there would never have been a Peter if there had not been an Andrew. And then you start going down the chapter there, and with the next disciple, as soon as one would find Jesus, that disciple would go find somebody else and say, come, I think I found Jesus. And I challenge you in that sermon, if you can just memorize the words, come and see. Come and see. You don't have to have all the answers. Just say, well, come and see. Oh, is it true that the Church of Christ has the Lord's Supper every Sunday? Doesn't that get boring to you? Well, come and see. You don't have pianos and drums and organs and horns? What's your music sound like? Well, come and see. You don't sit in front of the preacher and he comes out with some big robe on and you call him the Holy Father and you talk about being a family? What's that like? Well, come and see. You see, we don't have to have every verse of the Bible memorized and be able to answer every question before we can be evangelistic. We can just simply say, come and see. But many people allow the fear to keep them from doing what God wants them to do. As Christians, we have responsibilities. We have responsibilities to God. We have responsibilities to our brethren. We have responsibilities to our fellow man. And fear must not keep us from these responsibilities. Now, none of us in this room would want to be thought of as a fool. We'd like to think that somebody might think that we're wise in something. But look at what the wise men said. The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, and he who wins souls is wise. Now, there's the smart person. There's the wise individual that's trying to win souls to the Lord. And Jesus recognized the value of the soul. And so in wrapping up this first session here this morning, let's look at two questions that Jesus asked in Matthew chapter 16. In verse 26, it says, what will a man be profited if he gain the whole world? Now, my little country mind cannot comprehend that kind of money. I mean, just think about this part of Indiana. You think about Brownsburg, and you think about Danville, and you think about Mooresville, and what if you owned every hotel? What would you be worth? What if you owned every restaurant? What if you owned the Lilly Corporation? What if you owned the Speedway? What if you owned all of that? What would you be worth? Oh, make it bigger than that. You own all of Indianapolis. I'll make it bigger than that. You own the whole state of Indiana. I'll make it bigger than that. You own Illinois. You own Ohio. You own Kentucky. You own Tennessee. Go all the way down to Florida. You own Disney World now. You own all the cruise lines. What would you be worth? Now get it bigger. You own the whole United States. You own Canada. You own Europe. You own Australia. You own the whole world. Jesus said, even if you own the whole world and then you lose your soul, you're a mighty poor businessman or poor businesswoman. But then he asked a second question. What are you going to sell your soul for? Now, we've all seen the caricature of what the devil's supposed to look like in his red flannel underwear and horns and a long tail and a pitchfork. And if he ran through that door right now and said, I want to buy your soul, we think we'd be brave enough to say, no, get out of here, devil. Well, I'll give you $1 million if you go to hell with it. No, get out of here, devil. We think, sitting here this morning, it'd be easy to tell him, no, my soul's not for sale. But I wonder how many people have sold their soul for just one night of thrills. Whether it's one night of drugs or one night of getting drunk or one night with a prostitute. You see, Jesus is asking the question, what will a man give in exchange for his soul? There are people that are putting a price tag on their soul and they're selling it to the devil. And Jesus says that one soul is worth more than the entire material world. And so we have to have this passion that Jeremiah had. I have to talk about God. I have to share the good news of salvation. We don't have to know all the techniques. We don't have to know all the methods. But here's what we do have to know. We have to know how important God is and His Word. These 4 students are sitting on my bed in the hotel room in China. The second lady on the left there is holding my old Bible that's covered with duct tape. These 4 students are seeing the book of Genesis, the creation story, for the very, very first time. Some of you have seen in previous trips this picture of my friend Abraham. He spent 20 years in prison just because he would not deny his faith in God. He was a college professor. They're still in the university. They're using the textbooks that he wrote. But he became a Christian. And he was punished because of it. I want to make a special prayer request for Abraham. He had a stroke just a few weeks ago. I don't know whether he's going to make it. But his faith is strong. Nick lives in a Muslim country. He was stabbed about 17 times. And with each stab, they would say, don't talk about Jesus. Don't bring Christianity to Malaysia. My friend Toddy, I made 3 trips to Egypt to study the Bible with him. Finally, he was baptized in the swimming pool of the hotel in Cairo. He's now in the United States. He sought from our government, he sought religious asylum. His father said, for the honor of the family, the father would have him publicly killed. So, Toddy will never see his family again. He's very emotional talking about it. His mother is sick with cancer. He would love to see her. But he can no longer leave the United States and go to Egypt with any hope of ever coming back. If he were to go, his father said, I'll have you killed because you left the Muslim faith. In Vietnam, this chapel was built. We had one worship service. And the communist soldiers came in with sledgehammers and knocked the building down and hoisted the communist flag and said, we don't want Christianity in this country. Now, in closing, let me ask you the question, who needs Jesus? What if you had a daughter or a granddaughter that wanted to introduce you to her new boyfriend? After you overcome the initial shock of that look, would you say, he needs Jesus? If you see this man on the sidewalk as he's shooting up, would you say he needs Jesus? If you see this lady approaching a man's car, do you need a friend for the night? Would your first thought be, she needs Jesus? Or what about these classmates? What about these office workers? Or what about this soccer mom? You see, it's not until we have the burning in our heart that we understand that anybody and everybody needs Jesus. And His Word has to burn in my heart, or I'll never talk to them about salvation. May we leave the building today as we face a new week with a challenge that we will try to find somebody that we can help bring to Jesus. Thank you for the good way that you've listened.
morning can be found in Hebrews chapter 5, verses 7 through 10.